by the Russians during World War II, and the O-1. That was a Vietnam-era airplane that was used as a counterinsurgency airplane and also as, believe it or not, a forward air control airplane. And we'll talk about these airplanes once we get them all lined up here so that you understand some of the history behind them. And again, the last airplane here, I believe this is the Red Tail. Yes, it is. This is the Commemorative Air Force Red Tail. This is the airplane, the P-51C model that the Tuskegee Airmen flew, and they have that gorgeous red tail paint design. So we'll be talking about the airplanes as we get them all different line up here. Again, the F-8 that we saw take off did not see combat during World War II. And in fact, some of the aircraft that you see here saw very little combat action, except for the fact that some of them, such as the French, used the F-8F Bearcat in the French Indochina War, which we later ended up calling the Vietnam War. Now, as the one I want to highlight here is the Corsair. Now, here's the history of the Corsair. The first ones with flew were in 1937, built by Chance Vought. Now, here's a little history about the Corsair. It was built for one reason. Radio engine. Put the biggest propeller that you had on that engine and make it capable of landing on an aircraft carrier. That is why it has the design that it does. It's called it has what we call polyhedral. It's positive or negative, which is dihedral. Now, that airplane was also the one that was used in the Pacific by the Marines and also by the Navy. What is interesting is that the first of this particular type of aircraft and also the P-51 were not built for U.S. forces. In fact, they were built for the Royal Navy were the ones that taught us what they call the continuous turn to final landing approach to an aircraft carrier. Now remember, these are not the days when they had the same kind of a situation they have today with a catapult. These particular airplanes would take off under their own power and of course come in and do a trap, as you want to call it, with assist from the tail hook. Now, the other interesting point about the Corsair is the fact that there is an aircraft called the FG-1B. Now, the reason it's called the FG-1 is because it was built by Goodyear during World War II. This particular airplane was built by, in many numbers, an airplane that was still in production at the end of World War II, and eventually was used in the Korean War. Now, when that airplane gets around, as the air goes through the inner cores on the wings, this sound has a very high-pitched screeching sound. The Japanese army individuals on the ground eventually nicknamed it the whistling whale. 400 miles per hour, they knew that they were in for all trouble. And again, the Corsair was the only post-World War II aircraft, propeller-driven, that continued in production. So it had the longest in time production run of any of our propeller-driven fighters. Now, if we want to start talking about the P-51, the first ones were the A models. Believe it or not, we sent those to the Royal Air Force. And again, a little bit of history here is the fact that the Royal Air Force is the one that actually called the airplane the Mustang. We didn't name it that, they did. And we stuck with the name. The first ones were built with a less powerful Allison engine. But for the B and C models forward, they were built with a more powerful, and we will say Rolls-Royce just to keep people happy from over in England, but the American pilots that fly call it the Packard. What you're seeing going by here was That's one that the Tuskegee Airmen flew. And what we want you to notice is when the D model comes by, is the difference in the look of the airplane. Here comes the D model. It has what is known as the bubble canopy, whereas the C model had what was known as the razorback. And if you know anything about airplanes, that particular fighters coming in on your tail, you didn't have a very good vision field. So that's why the airplane was eventually given that bubble canopy. The pilots a lot more of an advantage so that they would be able to see the enemy fighters at their 6 o'clock position. Okay, one more pass here high up there with the T6s, and behind them will be the T28s, and we'll be bringing them in and getting them recovered here as the red tail or the red stars are coming through for their formation or break here. And again, look at the difference in the T51C as it goes by with that razorback configuration. Now, the other interesting thing about the P-51 is, again, we did not have it being built for us. The Royal Air Force came over to the United States to buy some of the Curtiss P-40s, as they call the P-40 Kitty Hawk. Now, one thing you never want to do is don't go to your competition or send your customers to your competition, because what happened was they said, well, we don't have But if you want to go over to our friends over there at North American, if they want to license it to us, they talked to their chief engineer, and he said, I want to show you the plans for a new type of aircraft. Show you the plans for the P-51. Instantly, by looking at it and looking at the specs and the figures, they decided that's what they wanted. And believe it or not, the airplane from the drawing board conception to the first production, the first XP model, was 117 days. It would have actually flown if they would have had the proper engine for it. And it took another 3 or 4 days to actually get the engine into working condition for the test flight. You that remember back in the good old days of the 1970s and listening to a TV show called Baba Black Sheep with Earl Grant, Happy the Corsair was used extensively, both carrier-based and land-based, in World War II in the Pacific.
Take a break from taking pictures, you should put on more sunscreen.
This is a Warbird tribute.
Okay, again, one last pass here by the C model. And by the way, the commemorative Air Force does have a display back here that is commemorative to the Tuskegee Airmen, and it's a very interesting display. It's right